Deputy Gilmore.
Cancorla, this week, last year, Mr. Sean Fitzpatrick resigned as chairman of Anglo-Irish Bank after it was revealed that he had been moving personal loans off the books of Anglo-Irish banks onto another institution and then back again in order to conceal them. At the time, the Minister for Finance expressed his disappointment. Since then, we've had a high-profile Garda raid on Anglo-Irish Bank. We're told that the Director of Corporate Enforcement is doing some kind of an investigation, but we haven't had anybody called to book for what happened in Anglo-Irish Bank. Since then, too, of course, Anglo-Irish Bank has been nationalised. 4,000 million of taxpayers' money has been put into it. Another 7 billion has been put into Bank of Ireland and Allied Irish Bank. Between them, 11,000 million of taxpayers' money put into the banks. Biggest bank robbery ever, except on this occasion, it's the banks robbing the people. Now, despite that, of course, they're still not lending to business as they should be. And this week, this year, you are marking the anniversary of the resignation of Mr. Fitzpatrick by cutting the pay of the lowest paid workers in the country and in the public service, by cutting the allowances that are paid to people who are blind, who are disabled, to carers. Yesterday, Taoiseach, the new governor of the central bank expressed the opinion that there should be a 9/11 style inquiry set up to examine what happened in the banks, why it was allowed to happen, and who had responsibility for it. And I want to ask you this morning, do you accept the recommendation and the call by the Governor of the Central Bank for a 9/11 style inquiry into what happened in the banks? And will you come in here in the new year with proposals from the government for the establishment of such an inquiry? Well, can I correct the Taoiseach on something? It's not the resources of the state, Taoiseach, that are going in to deal with the banking situation. It's the people's money. And 11,000 million of the people's money has been put in by you now into the banks. Now, you make it sound as though the call that was made yesterday by the Governor of the Central Bank was made by some kind of a disinterested economist writing in some obscure journal. This is the Governor of the Central Bank, Taoiseach, that was appointed by your government to oversee the banks. He thinks there should be an inquiry. He's not the first to think that there should be an inquiry into what happened in the banks. The Labour Party proposed the sending in of an inspector when the banking situation, when you came in here with your guarantee idea. We proposed an oversight committee on NAMA. Mr. Colin McCarthy, who is highly favoured on your side of the House, proposed that there should be a dirt-style inquiry. There were suggestions that there would be some kind of a parliamentary investigation. In fact, Taoiseach, the word on the grapevine is that you yourself blocked the holding of a parliamentary investigation into the banking situation. And you did so, Taoiseach, because you don't want an investigation. You don't want an investigation of what happens. You don't want an investigation of what happened in the banks. You don't want an investigation. You don't want an investigation of what happened in the banks because it will expose the close connection that exists between Fianna Fáil and developers and bankers, because it will also expose the fact that the regulatory authorities didn't do their jobs, and thirdly, it will expose the fact that you presided over it because you were Minister for Finance when all of this, and you're afraid that any inquiry, that the track will lead to your door, and that's why you won't allow it, and that's why you gave me the kind of response that you've just given now. Taoiseach, this is not going to go away. The people of this country are paying dearly for the failure that happened in the banking system, paying with the cuts in their pay, paying with cuts in their welfare payments, cuts in services, paying with the fact that they're not getting credit from the banks, and it is not going, we're not going to draw a line under it, and we're not going to say, well, that was then, this is now, and let's all move forward. The people of this country are entitled to know what kind of carry-on was going on in the banks that led to the mess that we're now in. And just because you were Minister for Finance and you're afraid that political culpability is going to land at your door is not a good enough reason to block the kind of inquiry that the Governor of the Central Bank has asked for.